What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into the CRW podcast. As we roll into season 8 now, we're ready for the start of the Rich Rod 2.0 era. Hard to believe it's here already, but the 2025 season is upon us. About a week away now from the time that you're first hearing this episode. West Virginia is going to be taking on Robert Morris, so it's time to dive in to our weekly podcast episodes, previewing and reviewing each game. Starting off with our Robert Morris preview and predictions here for this one, and joining me, as always, my great co-hosts. We've got Steven.
What's going on, everybody?
And Brad.
Happy Thursday, y'all.
Hey, that's right. Ready to get into it, talk a little Robert Morris in this one. Game 1 of the 2025 season, the debut of Rich Rod 2.0 era, debut of, a brand new coaching staff that was, highly sought after, paid a lot of good money to get this staff together. And of course, all of the new players we've talked about, 70 plus new players on the roster. A lot of storylines heading into this game that we can talk about, but just going into it before we get into the details, talk about the matchups, just kind of opening thoughts here heading into game week for the Mountaineers in game 1 of the 2025 season. How are you feeling, Steven?
Feeling pretty good, especially after the court ruling came out yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
With Jamori and company. Feeling increasingly optimistic. But I'm still in wait and see mode. I got 76 new transfers in now, in total for this team. So I mean, it's a lot of question marks, even with people that we kind of know some for sure's about. You know what I mean? Like with Jaheim, we know he's going to ball, but what's it going to be like whenever Jaheim doesn't have any kind of help to help rest his legs? That's a good thing about getting Ty Edwards, his eligibility, and then kind of intrigued with of a couple different scenarios. I'm intrigued to see the defense and the multiplicity, whatever the hell, however you say it. They say they're very multiple. I'm intrigued to see that, and then I'm intrigued to see how many quarterbacks play in game 1 specifically.
Too.
So, how many do you think it's going to be? Like off the top of your head, what's your number?
I don't know if I have one. I have an over under. Let's go over under 2.5, because you're going to see 2.
You're going to see. Over. I feel like you. I think. I think I take the over.
Honestly, I'd take, if you'd even said 3.5, I'd have probably taken the over.
Yeah, I think because we're going to beat them that
90. Bad. I think in the 90th percentile, you see 4.
Yeah,
because I think you're definitely.
That's the way it should be.
I was going to say, for sure, you're going to see Nico, Jalen, and Max Brown, I feel like. And then, to me, it's just like, do you get to see Scotty Fox or Khalil Wilkins also? I think that's the question for me, because like Brad said, hopefully you're winning big, so you get a chance to get some of those backups, some of those young guys on the field in that second half.
Rich is he's just raved about this quarterback room. I mean, and since before the spring, and then they've doubled down on that by not going out and getting another quarterback.
Well, and I also think
I would be surprised if you don't.
And I also think that there's a sneaky chance that our wide receivers are good, because they've been low key talking about it, but it's not really been super over the top with it. But I think that we got some really good pieces in there that could really shine. And so I think, talk about the quarterback, you also talk about the wide receivers then too. So
yeah, well, I mean, look at it. Jaden Bray didn't have the year that anybody expected him to have last year, but I think he's very primed to have, a comeback season, if you will.
Yeah, I like Jaden Bray a lot last year. He just did nothing. It was just like,
yeah,
it just fell off.
Cam Vaughn, we know what he has in Rich Rod's offense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and then Rodney Gallagher, I think that's just a breakout player waiting to happen.
Yeah, dude, he's been begging for it, and just like in the right program, the right tools, he can be effective. And so it'll be nice to see him with some good tools around him. Talking about what the staff can provide and where they can show it at. Those are some places that really struggle. Sorry, my cat's.
I think if you're smart, you might line Rodney up at running back.
Oh,
I could see him. I could see him get some carries. Well, you've heard him say how much they love the slot receivers. So, I mean, they're definitely going to involve them in the offense, whether it's the old bubble screen we saw from, the first time Rich Rod was here, or some jet sweep handoffs, some downfield, attacking them through the seams as well. But I think whether it's Gallagher, Man Singleton, Gerard Bowie, I mean, that's 3 really good slot receivers right there. Plus, Preston Fox can play inside or outside. There's some depth on this team. I think that, in certain spots, there's spots where depth is questionable. Kind of going back to what Steven said there, I think that's what stands out to me about this team is there's question marks, but I think as far as like individual, if you evaluate the individual talents on this team, because I've had a chance to break down a lot of them, covering the transfers as they've came in, the roster additions as they've come in throughout the offseason, and it's been a while since I've been as impressed with each individual addition that we've had for the most part. I mean, there's some that you're like, okay, that's clearly a depth piece or a piece for the future, but most of these guys they brought in to play right away. I'm talking about a ton of redshirt seniors and traditional seniors, final year players at multiple positions that they've brought in. I mean, you're talking 5 or 6 seniors at corner, 5, 6 seniors on the offensive line, 5, 6 seniors on the defensive line, on down the list with the transfers that they've added. So yes, they're new players, but they're experienced and they've played a lot of college football, albeit some at lower levels. So I think the individual talent is there, and even in some ways the experience is there, even though it hasn't been at WVU. My big question mark is, are they all going to mesh together? Have they had enough time to get that chemistry developed throughout the offseason, throughout fall camp to, come into game one here gelling, or are we going to start off a little clunky and take us some time to get it going here in game one and game two, and then hopefully have it all together before we roll into that backyard brawl in game three? That's my main question, is how long does it take this team to gel? Because personally, I think as long as that happens, I like a lot of the talent that you brought in when you look at them as individuals.
Yeah, and I think that you got to set that hard edge early. That's been like your whole mantra, that it's hard edge. So like when you talk about being tough on guys, running on and off the field, giving full hustle, like if you don't see that immediately, that's where it's like, oh, that's your whole
But
thing.
that's where my
You
fear
should be
kind of
peak
lies in
fitness
that
right now
is,
almost.
Rich Rod doesn't have a history of starting quickly
Yeah.
in programs. He usually there's a year, maybe year and a half, 2 years before he really gets that ball rolling. Jacksonville State was kind of the exception to that, but pretty much everywhere else he's been, he's kind of had that year to get everything together. Now, I mean, obviously that's
But
not
obviously,
considering how much the transfer
yeah.
portal's
I was
changed and
about to say,
everything.
how many times did he have to try and put square peg in a round hole, though, then probably, versus now
Right.
being able to go out and kind of hand pick some guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like I think
it's a
you
lot
lose.
different.
I think you lose a little bit of your advantage of saying that, considering how everything was left. Like it's not our fault. The leash can be short. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not
it's
mad
your whole
about that.
identity. And we do make it easy. People are throwing serious money at it, and they should be considered when you come back.
I,
You got
I
something to
think with
prove.
this culture change that he's, trying to implore, and how different this staff is versus the last staff. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff going around throughout the offseason. You've seen the pictures of, the previous staff at this time having a pool party at Neil Brown's house. And, he was really concerned about being, friends with the players, and that's all well and good, versus now Rich Rod's got him, running heels out there, and he don't give a damn if he's your friend or not. He just, all he hear him talk about is winning, hear him talk about championships. So it's a complete culture change. And I think along with that, sometimes you have to have a short leash if you're trying to establish that. You have to let them know that it's different here now. There's going to be accountability. We're a different team. We're a different program. We're going to run it this way or the highway. You know what I'm saying? And I think that you have to do that a little bit. Maybe that's why we see a lot of guys play early on until they find the right mix, so to speak, because there are so many new pieces that that's not only going to be the quarterbacks. I know that's what we focus on, is playing multiple quarterbacks, but maybe they start off with a certain 5 offensive line and then they switch it, whether it's guys switching positions or bringing in another guy into the rotation, or maybe they have a couple starting receivers and then they end up working more in. I think we might see some of that mix and match in here throughout these first couple of games at a few different positions because of all the new pieces, albeit there's a lot of talent there. You just have to see which pieces match best with the others.
Yeah.
You'd be crazy not to do that. I mean, with as many new faces and new pieces that you have on the team, I mean, you kind of have to do that as a coaching staff. And especially now, Jamori and those guys, they have not been able to even contact the team. I mean, they can't lift weights with them. They can't practice. They cannot be associated with them in any
Do you think they can have
capacity
the
whatsoever.
playbook? That's the real question.
That's what I'm
I mean, come on. I mean, we're naive. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be. They're not just out on their own. They're not as
it's like
out of the loop as us.
My question is, with them just now getting eligible, I mean, I'm guessing we won't see them against Robert Morris. Do you guys think? I'm guessing not.
Definitely not Jeff Weimer. I think for sure not him. Um, I think possibly Ty Edwards. You may see him
I would love to.
just because we're so depleted at running back depth at this point with injuries and obviously other academic ineligibility issues.
I guess it all starts, though, against Robert Morris coming up August 30th. Game week here. We've made it, guys, for the first ever meeting between West Virginia and Robert Morris. And, of course, West Virginia looks to hopefully continue that undefeated record versus FCS opponents, 25-0 all time. West Virginia is going into that one, hopefully going to continue that. Last season, Robert Morris was 7-5. West Virginia coming off a 6-7 season, of course. We know replacing the entire coaching staff, replacing a lot of the rosters we talked about there. As far as Robert Morris is concerned, they do return their coach there, Bernard Clark, in his 8th season there at RMU. Any opening thoughts on the matchup before we get into the nitty gritty and talk about each side of the ball, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been pretty straight up. I think it should be an easy walk in the park. It's an FCS team, gives you a chance to really see a lot of the pieces. You know, it really shouldn't be a competition. Talk about things that would impress me, though, is looking back on the previous tenure, things that I would like to see now is like turnovers, right? This is a really much weaker team. We should be able to force those. Those are the one thing that I feel like has impacted our games and just the game of football in general, right? I feel like turnovers are so extremely important that it's like those have got to be an emphasis, and it just never felt that way the past 5 years, right? And so a lot of those pieces kind of depend on good edge rushers like Robinson, right, makes him so important. And seeing stuff like that against a team that we should clearly be better than would help realize those expectations. It's like, there we go. Like that would be the hot start. If you're gonna start hot, that would be it.
Yeah, that's a great point, man, because like you said, turnovers, we were terrible, turnover differential throughout the whole previous regime, and we didn't force turnovers at all over the past, few seasons for sure. So, yeah, that would be something I would like to see. And especially hearing how Zach Alley talks about, they want to force 3 turnovers in every practice, and they've done a
Yeah,
good job
exactly.
doing that. So I think, seeing a defense that performs better would definitely make Mountaineer Nation feel better about things because of how much they've had to watch the defense struggle in past seasons. So I think that's a great point. Stephen, what about you? Opening thoughts here before we talk matchup specific.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that because I was going to touch on that a little bit too. I'm really excited to see that portion of the defense or that aspect of it, anyways, because I mean he's not only talked about them focusing on that at WVU in practice, but I mean you can see that if you watch the game film from Oklahoma last year. I mean schematically, I think that's going to be the funnest thing about this defense is how they are able to cause turnovers and get disruptions. You know, there was a few times they had these plays where they jumped screen routes, and I think those were some of the most beautiful interception for pick sixes they had last year that I saw. So I'm excited for some plays like that. But just for the game overall, we've talked a lot about West Virginia and their transfer portal and how all the turnover and all that for how much the newness on this team. But I mean, from what I've looked up and stuff on this other team, they don't have very much returning. Uh, so just as many questions marks as we have, they have just as many. So I think West Virginia should have full advantage of that on top of everything else they have. I mean, obviously this is supposed to be what's viewed as, I mean, no disrespect, but a warm up game,
And
But
it's
I
not
mean,
disrespectful. It just is what
usually
it is, you know?
Yeah.
it is what it is. But I mean, you don't want to look past anybody because
Yeah.
that's how App State versus Michigan happens, and then we lose
Yeah.
Yeah.
our first game to an FCS opponent. I don't
Knock
want
on
to do
wood.
that. Yeah. So I mean, you never want to look past anybody. It's just I think that West Virginia has a lot of opportunities to answer some of those question marks. To put it better, I think
Yeah. I think for
at
me,
least a little bit.
it's just like I'm super excited about the opportunity and hopefully, like we said here, should be starting 1-0 for the first time since 2020. I mean, so
Yeah.
that in and of itself right there is something that's crazy to think about. It's been since 2020 since we just started a season 1-0 and had some hope there, moving forward because I think there's something to be said about, stacking up wins to begin a season. You start to believe you get some momentum rolling and, West Virginia's got a chance to get off to a good start this season for the first time in a long time. And I think that's a great recipe for success here to begin the Rich Rod 2.0 era. And we got to start it here with Robert Morris and start off 1-0 in this one. And that would be a big accomplishment for me. So I'm excited about that opportunity. And I'm excited to see that atmosphere. I think it's going to be a great game day atmosphere for that game in Morgantown. A lot of people are going to be excited because, 0-0 right now and, great chance to be 1-0 Rich Rod back in town, selling the most season tickets we've sold in over a decade, selling out 304 passes, not once, but twice. Thank you, Pittsburgh, by the way. But it's exciting, and you're playing a Pittsburgh-based team as well. So another something to be excited about
I mean,
there.
do we really ever think that their fans are going to show up to a game? I mean, shit.
Yeah. They don't even show up to their own.
And like, I can't tell you how exciting it is to actually have something to look upon, like a staff that gets it. Yes. Which, like, we were no brown levers, but like that was a big gripe. Was just that didn't think Pitt was he just thought Pitt was another game, and it just can't be. Like, it's got to be something you show up to, and you show up to with some hard edge,
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just got to be the right fit. That's what makes it feel so right. To your point, about it feeling so nice to have a staff that gets it.
Because that's what it's going to take. That's absolutely.
Well, I mean,
it's all about fit.
We were talking about that the other day. I mean, like this staff is it has to be. It has. I have not done the numbers and looked back and confirmed this, but I think that it has to be the most elite coaching staff that we have ever had at a singular time. I mean, if you look at every single person from top to bottom, all the way down to the smallest person that we have, smallest on payroll, I'll say. Every single person has either multiple years at high level, either college or NFL places, or they have experience being in Rich Rod's system or know his system, i.e. Rhett Rodriguez, he's a new coach, knows Rich's system like the back of his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Pat White, new coach, knows Rich's system like the back of his hand. And you got guys like Jack Bignell. And I don't know if you know Brad, but me and Jordan went on a nostalgia fest because we were looking through old game programs and media guys that my papa had bought at an auction. And Jack Bignell, he's Jack Bignell Jr. is our offensive line coach, but his dad, Jack Bignell, was the Boston College head coach in the 80s for a long period of time. And he used to lose to West Virginia every year. And so, like,
Jack
they asked
McNeil,
him at that press conference.
Our coach was the center for Doug Flutie.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And so, like, he has a lot of history with West Virginia. And of course, Rich Rodriguez played for West Virginia during that period of time as well. So they've got a lot of history and know each other well.
Yeah. And
I mean, there's just so much about it, man. Zach Alley, obviously, that's exciting in and of itself.
That's the gym
just so
right
much
there.
To be.
What I think is fun is like
about.
the unbespoken piece of it is that they've still got Pat McAfee playing special teams and just being a big donor and being a big personality.
Yeah.
And just dropping bands.
Well, I mean, like, that's what
he's not a coach, but he's like, here you go, want. Special teams.
Yeah, that's what you want. I mean, you want your alumni.
My offense, I'm not defense. I'm special.
To want to give back. You know what I mean? Like all of your, you want your most
facts.
I mean, Pat McAfee has a lot of reasons to not love West Virginia, but he still does. So
true. With that being said, gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about each side of the ball here. Let's start off talking about the WVU defense because, as we kind of touched on a little bit there earlier, that's where we need to see the improvement. That's where we want to see, going out and getting Zach Alley paying off. That's where we're hoping to see sacks, some TFLs, some turnovers, things that have eluded us in the past few years. So that's what we're hoping for from Zach Alley's defense as he goes up against this Robert Morris offense. Troy Rothenbuehler there in the first season as their offensive coordinator coming over from Youngstown State. They do have a quarterback battle going on between Zach Tanner, who's a returning junior there, and Amir Dudley, who's a grad transfer from Harvard. Nice dual threat quarterback there. They may be playing multiple guys there on the offensive side. Other than that, not a ton of returning production in the backfield or at wide receiver, but former Mountaineer Tyler Evans, a former walk-on at WVU, is a wide receiver there on the Robert Morris squad. So always a West Virginia connection, right? But how are you guys feeling about this WVU defense matching up against this Robert Morris? What do you want to see? What are you expecting to see? What are you thinking, Brad?
I'm expecting, I mean, the whole team's a big question mark, but when I'm looking at the defense specifically, if we're going to get Jamori back, what do the pieces down low look like, right? We all know that this season's going to be front line versus offensive line versus defensive line. So, again, when it comes to down to just like these lesser opponents, you need to see some kind of spark in there that's going to help drive the interior of that defense. And I think, again, we've got a lot of good pieces that carry over, a lot of good pieces that we brought in. And so it's going to be establishing ourselves down there and just seeing who might have that spark to help carry the rest of the defense.
Agreed, man. I think that like you said there, a lot of new guys, a lot of new faces.
Yeah.
Let's see who goes out and performs the best,
And
who
like Zach
really
Alley's
puts on a
proven
show.
too, so like it's curious to see how well. I think that's really good. What's going to carry us a lot this year is our defense anyway.
Yeah. Well, especially like you said, against a team that you should be better than, the guys that are going to be your main guys that are going to go out and perform for you in games should really shine against an opponent like this. So you should be able to see, okay, there's a guy, that guy's standing out. Whether he's a
Yeah,
guy that starts the game for you or someone you bring in later, that still should show for you on film. And that's really, I think this game can be utilized to help you, determine that lineup moving forward in games 2, game 3, when things get a little bit tighter moving forward. But
yeah.
Stephen, what about you? How are you feeling about the WVU defense against this Robert Morris offense?
I think it's going to be a blitz all day long. I think they're going to see I
Love it.
truly do. I think that it's
Throwing
going to
darts,
be,
yeah.
yeah, I think it's going to be blitz central. I think you're going to see a lot of different packages in a lot of different ways. And because of that, I think it's going to be a Fred Perry field day. I think Fred Perry's going to go out there and have a heck of a day
That's a
getting
dog.
to the
Mm-hmm.
quarterback, especially if they've got so many question marks at quarterback and running back position. And I think they've even got question marks at the wide receiver position. So if they've got that many question marks on offense, um, even with Jamori being out, I think Eddie Kelly's going to do a good job of sealing that edge, um, or in a way that it's going to be easier for our bandits to get around there, and our safeties to get a better blitz on guys. So I expect to see a lot of that, especially from what I've heard out of fall camp. Because that's Rich has talked about that a lot. He's like, Zach comes out there and throws me defenses I've never seen. He
Yeah, he
blitzed
said
me
he's got
5
200
different types of
blitzes.
blitzes in 10 plays, and I can't. And
I
that's
I love
that's what I'm
that.
excited
Yeah.
about. Is it's not only fun to watch, and the thing that you hear about Zach Alley the most, the thing that's most consistent is how smart this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
This guy he's a savant at coaching defense, and he's proven it. He's
Yep.
done absolutely very well everywhere that he's been, and only evolved everywhere he's been, and grown what his schematic plans are going into each season. And so that's what I'm truly excited about. You can go back and watch Oklahoma film from last year, and that's exciting. But I'm excited to see what it evolved into, with the guys that we have on this particular team, this particular defense.
Agreed. Me too. Me too. It's going to be exciting. Like we said, a lot of new faces. So it's going to be a lot of different things to look out for there on the field, and can't wait to see who stands out on that defense. And hopefully, I'd love to see them. Like Brad said, get multiple turnovers, get multiple sacks. So just like we know, we're going to love the Rich Rod offense and how explosive it is. It'd be fun to have a defense that can be kind of explosive on that side of things with those type of plays as well. And I think that's what we're hoping to see from Zach Alley's defense against Robert Morris. But gentlemen, let's flip it over. Let's talk about the other side of the ball, because if there's one thing that we all know and remember and know about Rich Rodriguez, it's that man can orchestrate an offense and orchestrate some of the top offenses in college football over the past 15 or so seasons since he was last at WVU, including last year where he had a running back that finished third in the nation in rushing. Been excited all off season to see Jaheim White in Rich Rod's offense, and finally we're going to get to see it in just a little over a week's time from the time that we're recording this podcast. So, definitely that's one thing that I'm excited about. Definitely going to see which quarterback that's out there orchestrating this thing the best as well, who's moving with their legs, who's out there gunning it to some of these new receivers. Got a great tight end in Grayson Barnes. I think, like I've said throughout this show here, I like a lot of the pieces. I think my question mark on offense lies on the guys up front. If they can get the push that we need for Rich Rod's run game, with it being an all new starting offensive line, Landon Livingston's a returner, but he hasn't started here at WVU really. The rest of them transfers. Are they going to gel together? Can that offensive line work? If it does, and that offensive line gels, look out, because we know what Rich Rod can do offensively, and you're pairing that with the Zach Alley defense we talked about. I think it's going to be a fun year to watch. But here in game one, going up against the Robert Morris defense is what we got to dive into here. Jason Macronos, there in the first season as the defensive coordinator for Robert Morris. He's been there as their defensive passing game coordinator, but now takes over as DC. Defense pretty much rebuilt. A lot of guys left, a lot of guys transferring in, but several of them coming from the FBS level, bouncing back to the FCS level. So something to keep an eye on there with the Robert Morris defense. But when you look at this matchup, Stephen, Rich Rod's back in town. used to be touchdown city around here in Morgantown. Is that going to come back, and are we going to see that against Robert Morris in game one?
I think that it is absolutely going to be back. But I think what is interesting most about this is, you're right. I think you'd be dumb not to run Jaheim White. He's one of the most premier backs in all of college football. So
Reach.
you have to play him. So you're going to see that a good bit. You're going to see a lot of the running of the quarterback, obviously from a Rich Rod offense. But let's not forget, he is not afraid to toss that pigskin around whenever it needs to be tossed around. Chris Henry was, I want to say, over a 1,500-yard receiver one year. That could be incorrect, but I want to say it was upward of it was over 1,000. I do know that. So a lot of guys that he's used in the past. I mean, if he has the right guys in place, I mean, he's going to do whatever is successful and what's going to win football games. I think that it's just more often than not, been a running game that has fit the mold of his offense the best with the players that he's got. But he's said it multiple times. That's what he doesn't plan around, the scheme. He plans around his players, and I think that's what makes a great football coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the offensive line. I guess I do have some question marks along the offensive line for obvious reasons. The reasons you mentioned. You don't know if they're going to gel well, and then we're obviously pessimistic against it because we've seen this story how many times in the last how many years. We're waiting for an offensive line to gel together. More oftentimes than not, that it just didn't come around to be that cohesive of a unit. But I think with this, it's different. I just mentioned, obviously, Rich Rodriguez has a long history of having great offensive lines wherever he's
Yes.
been. His offense just makes it work. He knows how to teach that part of football well, is what it seems like to me. Long history of good offensive lines. I just mentioned earlier Jack Bignell, been at some of the top places in not only college football but the NFL as well, and done really well and had really good players drafted into the league that had great careers. Can't help but have confidence in that. Can't help it. I really truly think the West Virginia's offensive line is going to be a good group this year. Now, I don't think that they're going to be there'll probably be some woes that we go through because the offensive line is the most battle. The offensive and defensive line is the most battle position in football. There's going to be most likely some injuries. So, the kind of depth that we have at certain positions is where I'm most
That's what I'm worried about.
kind of fearful, I guess. But overall, I think it should be a fun unit to watch in game one.
Yeah,
And hopefully all of them. But
Yeah.
I agree. That's what worries me on the offensive line. Like you said, I like the pieces. I think we got a good offensive line coach in Rich Rod's system. Should have success. I talked about having depth at a lot of positions on offense, a lot of depth at the skill positions. Where we lack it is the offensive line. That's what worries me a little bit. Is not a ton of depth there. We need to stay healthy on that offensive line, I think, this season. But like you said, should put on a show in game one, and we should get to see plenty of those offensive linemen. So the good part of that is that you will get some of those guys that are a little bit further down the depth chart. Hopefully get them some reps in this game, you would hope. And so that could better prepare you for worst case scenario like that. But what about you, Brad? How are you feeling about Rich Rod's offense being back in Morgantown and seeing a match up against this Bobby Moe defense here in week one?
Yeah, to connect with what Steven was saying, it's definitely going to be in the trenches up front, right? And when I'm looking up there, I personally have faith in Landon Livingston. I think he's going to do great. I really just think, again, he kind of fell in behind one of the greatest, if not the greatest center of all West Virginia history. Saw how it was done, right? And I really liked Landon ever since he was back at Leo High School because that's when I was really could follow the recruiting a lot more. He was one of the first ones that got me into it. I was a big fan of him, and I just feel like he had the right role models ahead of him, and he really just never got his chance because Neil Brown ended up getting to the point after Zach Frazier that he had to win now, and that meant playing seniors. And so, Landon Livingston's got to see a good system, and I think that he can really excel in this. And I think, you hear Rich Rodriguez say he knows he's got 7 guys that can snap, and it's like maybe he doesn't need that. Maybe he needs 2 guards is what he really needs, is not a center because he's got a guy that can play center. So, I think he's going to do good. And so, again, when I'm talking about on the defensive side, seeing guys step up, that's where you want to see against an opponent that really shouldn't be competing with you can you have somebody that can step up and shows leadership and can shine in those moments, so that way we can feel better prepared for 2 weeks down the road, which again, overlooking people, but we all know that that's what it's headed to. So just but then, like you guys said, like forming his offense to players like Jaheim White, like the same, talk about those players, like Jaheim White should absolutely pop off, right? And on the defensive side, you talk about turnovers. On the offensive side, I'm thinking explosive plays. Yes. Against a team that you should be better than, you should see explosive plays. And you got players that can make that happen, which is not Landon Livingston. It's Jaheim White. It's Rodney Gallagher. It's Jaden Bray. Like it's Cam Vaughn. Like some of those pieces have really got to be explosive. And that's, again, something that we have not seen in a while. And that's something that you should see against an opponent that you should beat. It shouldn't be the regular, I'm going to beat you with my scheme. I'm going to beat you with some really explosive plays, and then I'm going to end the day.
Yeah, agreed. Shouldn't have to see, as much as I like him, hopefully don't see Ollie Straw more than maybe once or twice in this game.
Vacation,
I mean,
man.
if that.
Request PTO.
Yeah, take the day
Let
off.
us find the backup.
Yeah. Right, 100%. But on the plus side, it sounds like we all feel good about the matchups on each side of the ball here. So I guess with that, we can transition into, for the first time of the season, gentlemen, our keys to victory for this one. Then we're going to go ahead and throw out our predictions for the game here. Game 1 of the WVU football season. Obviously, all feeling pretty good about it. Hoping to see West Virginia continue that undefeated streak against FCS teams. Stephen, what do they need to do to make that happen? What's your key to victory?
One word: execution. I think that as long as you execute your assignments correctly at a high level and play through the whistle, I think you'll be good to go. I think the game is all about finding who we are. I know Rich Rodriguez hates the term finding your identity, but I think that's a lot of what this game is about. 76 new players. You need to find out who you are, what you're about, what kind of system are you going to be comfortable with going forward into the season. Especially, Ohio's not Alabama, but it's not going to be no walk in the park, I would imagine, if it's going to be a sold out game. A lot of Mountaineers going to be up there, but I think with the level of the game that it is, I think that you just need to come out and prove that you can play well as a team.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll follow you up because mine's kind of similar. I was going to say, try and play mistake-free football was one of the main things I was going to hit on here, because I think, we've talked about the new pieces for one, but also this is your first game play on this fastest tempo in the country offense, and with that, sometimes you may be moving too quick. You're going to go ahead and get a false start penalty. You're going to do something, and that's not what we need. That's the worst thing you can do with Rich Rod here is have a turnover or have, an unforced error like that with a false start or something to kill a drive. Because the one thing he's talked about that he hates is negative yardage plays. So I think let's try and not have any of those. Let's try and keep it mistake-free as possible. Come out, have a great start in the first half, jump out on these guys, and get some of our young guys in the second half and cruise to a 1-0 start for the first time since 2020 is what I'm hoping for. And I think playing mistake-free will help us get there. Brad, what about you? What's your key to victory?
Yeah, I was going to say I actually had 3 keys, and I feel like I've already turnovers, right, forcing them, but I was also going to agree with you, like not having any turnovers. It's got to be clean football and explosive plays. Like those would be the 3 keys to winning. Like that's what you should see in this game. Absolutely. So like it should be a clean brand of football with like Jaheim White should break off a 60-yard run. Like it's just got to happen. My heart's got to see it happen.
Like I think that you got a great chance of that, man. I think you really do for sure.
Hey, I'll tell you
not only
more.
this game, but multiple games throughout the season potentially.
Yeah, it's just that's the 3 keys to victory. It's just got to be turnovers, no turnovers, and explosive plays.
I'll tell you one more, okay, before we move on.
Yeah.
I think the ultimate key to victory here, guys, is if they bring back the inflatable helmet and there's smoke coming out whenever the entrance is. When teams are on the field. If we go through that, there's no way we can lose this game. We're going undefeated and we're winning the national championship.
People are going to love it. They're going to. Now, do you think there's any chance they don't wear the glossy helmets for this game?
No.
Yeah, they're definitely wearing the glossy helmets. I mean, I know it's a Gold Rush, which wear your gold if you're going to the game. It's Gold Rush Family Day. Meant to mention that earlier, but I still think they're definitely breaking out the glossy blue helmets with the all gold jerseys, probably.
Absolutely. I think that especially if they're labeling that as our base helmet, which, I mean, the blue's always been our base helmet. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think so too. So with that being said, we got the keys out of the way. Let's get into predictions. Go predictions this time. Brad, I'll come back to you first this time. I think we're all feeling like West Virginia's probably going to win, but let's see what we're thinking score-wise here. What do you got, Brad?
Yeah, I don't think I've minced words about it. Love you, RMU. It'll be thank you for
No,
coming
he
to
doesn't.
play us.
Yeah.
Hey, no, they're gonna have a fun quarter. I hope they figure out their quarterback a little bit, but I mean,
No, you
I'm
don't, Brad. You
I'm
hate
speaking
them.
with
You
my
hate
heart.
everything about the
I'm just
Colonials. Everything
speaking
the
with my
Colonials do
heart.
pisses you off.
I just really want to destroy you guys. I'm
We
going 54-0. Like I just think it's
oh,
hard held. I think it's got to be hard edge. I think we got good pieces. Rich Rod can do it. He can start off hot. 54-0.
that's
You know
literally
what's
probably one
Zach
of the
wild?
Alley
best
might score
potential
2 touchdowns.
outcomes.
Yeah,
I was
Zach
about to say
Alley might
that's one
score
of
two
the best
touchdowns.
outcomes because you get the 50 plus points from Rich Rod. You're like, okay, his offense is back. And then if you've got a shutout to go along with that, and then people are like, oh wow, Zach Alley's for real, even against a team like this, that's probably one of the best possible outcomes there is a huge scoring output and a shutout. So love that. Love that
Yeah, it
optimism there.
is.
Brad's throwing the golden blue glasses on for sure there,
Sucks for
and
me
I'm a
because that
big
was going to
fan
be my
of it.
prediction. Like,
Yeah, I just like I said, this is the way I
now I
feel like
can't
it
use
should
it.
be, and I think it can happen. So that's what my heart tells me I want. So give it to me. Why not manifest?
I'm a fan. Manifest destiny, brother. Manifest destiny. Steven, what about you? What's your prediction here?
I was going to go 54-0, so now I'm going to go 56-0. So I'll say we get it. I say we get an extra safety.
There we go.
So you're just going 56. He's
I
going
think I
56
think
now.
West Virginia will. I think we shut them out. I think we do. I think West Virginia. I
Wow.
think I've heard enough about Zach Alley, and I've got my gold blue glasses on. I'm being highly optimistic, and I'll probably look back on this show in a year and be like, "What in the hell was I thinking?" But it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Now y'all are making
Freaking
me
Kool Aid.
make me feel bad because I
Brother,
was going to go 56-17. I think we will get 50 plus from
17.
Rich Rod, but I was giving
wow.
him 17. I was just hoping we'd hold him below 20. You
Like
guys are
points.
pitching the shutout. Yeah. Yeah. You said 17 yards is what y'all are thinking over here, I guess. But
Dude, I'd
hey,
say it.
I hope you guys are right. I hope you guys are right.
I think the defense might score more points than they have total yards.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm
Hope
hoping
that
so.
happens. I don't know if that'll. I hope that happens.
It won't happen. That's definitely like I said, I'm speaking with my heart tonight. It's feeling right.
Hey, wishful thinking. We love it.
Why not be excited?
All right, so we're getting close to wrapping up episode 223 here, the Robert Morris preview and predictions edition. But before we do, something fun we always like to do, especially before the first game of the season. It's not a regular feature on the show or anything, but usually just for the season opener, we like to go first play. What's the first play on offense this season in the Rich Rod
Oh,
2.0
please let me
era?
go. Please let me
What
go
play
because
kicks it off? And
there's
then
100%.
who scores the first touchdown? How does it happen? Go ahead, Steven.
Holy shit! I've been waiting on this question all year long. Okay, listen. There's absolutely no way that the first play is not a zone read. I promise you, it's going to be a freaking zone read. Okay,
That's
promise you.
pretty safe bet.
I promise you, it's going to be a zone read.
Pretty safe
I
bet.
seen the future. I was there. We win. We win 56-0. That's why that was my prediction. Zone read. Yep.
First touchdown. Who scores it?
Yes.
How's it happen?
Let me see. I think the popular answer here is going to be Jaheim White. I'm not going to go with it though. I'm going to say Nico. Nico runs it in.
Nico runs it in.
Yep.
What are you talking about? Goal line, get up there close, punch it in, or is he going to break something off?
I think so. I think on the first drive, I think Jaheim gets us down around anywhere between the 10 or the 5, and then Nico does a little up the middle scramble, gets a nice
Okay.
little touchdown.
It's not
Early.
bad. Not bad. So Steven's going zone read, first play. Nico punching it into the end zone on a goal to go situation. Brad, what do you got?
I also think it's going to be the zone read. Not to be not fun, but I just think it is. And I think that
Lovely.
first play, give me the 60 yards from Jaheim.
Hey, okay.
Hey,
I like it.
Why not
You
get
get
it?
Jaheim
Why
into
not get
the
it
end zone on a
first?
long TD.
Yeah. And I know that's
wouldn't mind that.
because I mean
Wouldn't
it's the
mind that
first
at all.
play. You catch them on surprise, good. Just get everything from it. So, like I said, if I'm speaking my heart tonight, might as well go for it all.
Well, I mean, although I feel like you guys are probably right, I'll be different to go something else with the first play here. How about a bubble screen? How about a bubble screen first play? I mean,
Dude,
I think that's fitting, right?
I'm sorry.
Uh,
I'm unpopular in that. Probably, I hate the bubble screen. It was so
I
unsuccessful
like it. I like the
it's
bubble
gonna be a
screen.
when
it's
he
gonna
was
be a
here
weapon.
before.
It's gonna be a weapon.
Give me
Hopefully,
Rodney
at
in
worst, I changed
space
my
any
opinion on
day.
it. I just don't have good memories of it.
You give me Rodney
I
in
used to hate when they
space,
did it.
and
Exactly, and I
it'll be
think that's the
fine.
irony. You run it first play.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Go ahead,
Zone
get
read.
somebody out in space.
Zone read.
Uh, first
How about zone read?
touchdown. First touchdown. Zone read. The quarterback keeps it, runs it into the end zone, and that quarterback is Jalen Henderson. And that's my prediction there on that one. Jalen Henderson runs in the first TD since Steven went Nico, Brad went Jaheim. I was either going to go passing, but I'll say let's go ahead and let's throw another quarterback in the mix here. Let's have all our bases covered here. I got both our quarterbacks and our running back, so one of us is going to be right in some form or fashion. Whether it's not, even if it's not in the way it happens, somebody's going to get the first touchdown score, one way or the other.
Hey, they might throw one of those little offensive lineman passes or whatever the hell they did.
With our luck, with our luck, it'll be like Scotty Fox or Max Brown or something, probably.
Probably so.
But
they hand the ball
either
off
way,
to another running back.
Yeah, the more the merrier. I hope all 5 quarterbacks they've been talking about score touchdowns in the game. That's what I'd like to see, something like that.
I hope every single person, every single skill player on our offense scores a touchdown.
Oh man, let's put up 90.
And all 5 quarterbacks.
Because it's a new era. It's a new era, and it's officially about to kick off with this game against Robert Morris. So spot the ball. We're ready to get our hard edge on, ready to see these guys out there playing hard on the field, and it'll be visible for us. I think the differences that we'll see from this team, the way they're coached, is going to be evident to us on the field, if nothing else. It's going to be an exciting day in Morgantown as they take on Robert Morris on August 30th. We've all got a victory. Hopefully you guys do as well. Let us know your prediction in the comments there below if you're watching on YouTube, which shout out to the people that watch on YouTube. Be sure, give us a thumb up on the video there. Help us out with that crazy YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel to get our episodes throughout the 2025 football season and our updates covering WVU Sports. Shout out to our friends over at WV Sports Now for hosting our episodes on their website as well, and appreciate you guys listening on the audio side on any podcast platform. Leave us a rating there. That helps out on that side of things. Gentlemen, any final thoughts before we wrap up episode 223 here in the Robert Morris preview?
Please, God, let it be sunny.
Please, no more rain delays.
Yeah, it's got to be nice weather, man. Rain is tragic.
That's a great point. Great final thought. Fingers crossed for the weather. Let's have good weather for this one. Let's let the stars align, so to speak. Brad, what about you?
Yeah, man. I excited to see Mountaineer football, man. It's been way too long. Like you said, all we got to talk about is what was, and I'm excited to talk about what is. So give me some Rich Rod football and let's, spot the ball.
Yeah. For me, it's just kind of surreal, right now we're about a week out from the game at the time we're recording this, and it's going to probably feel even more surreal to be there in the stands and to see Rich Rod lead a West Virginia team out there on the field and see him coaching on the sidelines again. It's a sight that I'm excited to see, and I'm super hyped about this season for the Rich Rod 2.0 era, but definitely it's going to be surreal to finally be there at that moment after, having hoped it would happen, then finally hired him, and then now gone through an offseason of building a staff and a team, and then finally see it all come to fruition in game one. It's going to be a sight to see, and I can't wait for it. Know you guys are excited as well, and we can't wait to continue to talk about this team with you guys throughout the season here on the CRW podcast. We'll be back for our Robert Morris review early next week, maybe even have that out by Sunday. Stay tuned for that. Be on the lookout for that one, where we'll be talking about our review of game one of the 2025 season. But until then, for my co-hosts Steven and Brad, I'm Jordan Cruz, and let's go Mountaineers. Really wanna know, then come on, let's go. Take a stroll down those